Going over the playoff positions, who we got to root for and who we got to root against. What is up, Finn fans? Another week, another video where I'm like, this is what we got to do. This is what needs to happen. And a lot of things have changed. Some crazy drastic. And this video kind of also coincides with the pick video, which I do on shorts now. And some of you guys really enjoyed it. So if you did like my pick videos, I compressed them down into 60 seconds and they're over on the shorts. You can go check them out over there. But we're going to jump into this right after I shout out today's sponsor, and that is BetUS. I've been working with them all football season. Very happy to be working with them. Very reliable betting site. Always bet responsibly. You get 125%. Click on the link. You get 125% of your first deposit matched by them. They're also super quick with their payouts 24 hours. Let's listen to them because they also have some really cool giveaways that they do.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Holy crap, look at this. We're in a different area. So, again, thank you so much, BetUS, for sponsoring this video. Again, helps out the channel grow. Sponsorships, I appreciate them. Thank you all so much. Flam, we are now in our little Sharon is Karen area. And we're going to be looking at kind of what happened after the Monday games and what we can look forward to. Now, the Miami Dolphins are still in clinching scenario. Now, unfortunately, the Ravens won. You can see here they're 12-3. If the Ravens would have lost to the 49ers, then this upcoming week would have been huge. Like, huge is in the aspect of the Dolphins win, the Browns lose, Dolphins clinch the #1 seed. But unfortunately, the Ravens won, so that cannot happen this week. But we'll go into certain clinching scenarios. So again, Ravens won. They're sitting at 12-3. Miami Dolphins sitting at 11-4. Two clinches right here. Looks fantastic. Kansas City lost to the Raiders. I was so it was Christmas Day. My mother was sleeping over because she was going to babysit while me and my wife went to the movies that night because I needed a night out. And I'm putting this bed together in the spare room. And I'm just watching as I'm putting this metal bed frame together, just destroying my knees. I'm listening to the Chiefs just lose this game. The Raiders defense is just, and I'm just like, what is going on? To the point where they cannot clinch the #1 seed at all. Like, if the Dolphins were to lose the next two games, they get the 6. They get the #3 seed, #2 seed. No, they get the #3 seed because Buffalo would probably jump over them, and they have the tiebreaker, which is crazy. They can't get the #2 or #1 seed. It's just craziness, absolute craziness there. You got Jacksonville at 8-7. Cleveland is a team you got to look out for. If we lose 2 and they win 2, they will jump the Dolphins, especially if they lose. But we'll get into all that stuff. Buffalo's sitting here at #6, and we have the Colts here. Now, I will say this: if you notice, Buffalo's at 9-6. You have 8-7, 8-7, 8-7, 8-7. If Buffalo loses, and I'm going to show you this stuff, the next 2 games, and falls to 9-8, and any of these teams win the next 2 games, the Buffalo Bills will be out of the playoffs. So Buffalo might be sitting pretty, but they got some things to worry about. And you look here, the Dolphins are going to the playoffs. 100% going to the playoffs. Buffalo has an 89% chance because of who they face. If they beat the Patriots and some other teams lose, that'll go to 100%. And regardless of what happens with the Dolphins and the Bills, will dictate winner. You know, again, I'll get to all that stuff. But I think if they beat the Patriots, this will probably go to 100%. And if other teams lose, like the Bengals and the Steelers and the Broncos and all that other stuff, and the Colts, like these guys start losing, and the Texans, this will probably go to 100%. Winning the division, the Dolphins are still up there. Unfortunately, we were way higher a few weeks ago when the Bills were falling apart. Still up there. First round bye. It's between the Dolphins and the Ravens. You see that? It's between the Dolphins and the Ravens. If the Dolphins win, this will probably jump up a huge amount. If the Ravens win, this will go to 100%. They'll clinch it. And Super Bowl, it looks like in the AFC, it's between the Dolphins and the Ravens. This game, last week's game, remember how important I said it was, and we won it? This game, literally, I think I got bit by something. This game literally seems to be for who's going to, like, run the playoffs. Because if you look by the percentage, it's between the Ravens and the Dolphins. Who has a better chance of making it to the Super Bowl? Between the Ravens and the Dolphins, who's getting that first round bye? Like, it's huge. Now, again, you see here, they don't have a 97% chance of winning the division. The Browns can still get up there because the Browns beat them. So I'm doing playoff machine this week because I'm changing it up. Why not, you know? Why not go with the playoff machine here? So, as of right now, this is the way it looks. Baltimore has the number 1 seed. The Miami Dolphins have 2. We already saw this, but we would face Indy. KC would face the Bills, and the Jaguars would face the Browns. To me, I think the divisional round would look like conference round, divisional round. The divisional round, which got wild card, then divisional, then conference, and Super Bowl. To me, if this was the lineup, I think the divisional round would look like the Dolphins facing the Browns at home, and the Buffalo Bills heading to Baltimore to take the Ravens. I think that's the 4 games because I think the Dolphins beat the Colts, the Bills beat the Chiefs, and I think the Browns beat the Jaguars. And the number 1 seed faces the lowest seed, which is the Bills, and then the Dolphins face the Browns. Home for those 2, which would be crazy because this would be a good game. Joe Flacco, here and here. But that's as of right now. Now, I'm going to pick all the games, like I said. It's kind of like a pick video incorporated with who we should root for. This game, I'm going to show you who we should root for, and then I'm going to show you what would happen if not. We want the Jets to win this game. And I'll show you why we want the Jets to win this game, right? So we want the Jets to win this game. I think this is going to be an interesting game. But I'm going Rams here. I think the Rams are the better team, even though they're coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. I think the Dallas Cowboys win this one. It's in Jerry World. I think the Eagles win this one. Tampa, San Fran's going to be pissed. I think Buffalo's going to win this one, but don't be surprised if New England wins. They beat the Broncos in Denver. It could be possible that they could beat Buffalo in Buffalo, especially because Buffalo played horribly against the Chargers, and we'll show what happens there. Then we have, I think Chicago takes this one. I think Seattle's home for this one. I think KC takes this one, but don't be surprised, and I'll show you what happens if the Bengals beat them. I'm not so sure about this one anymore, but I'm going to stick with what I initially thought, which was that. I think the Jaguars win this one. I think the Broncos win this one. I think the Texans win this one. And I think the Packers take that one. Then I'm going to show you the Dolphins need to win and kaplow. So at this point, if what I just predicted happened, this is what it would look like. The Dolphins would be the number 1 seed, and they would just switch with the Ravens. Nothing else really changes. Then we go to Week 18. I'm going to go Seattle over Cardinals. Again, this one doesn't matter because this could change, but I'm just going to flap, beep. I think the Patriots won this one, actually. But boop. I had a brain fart there. Boop, 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 beep, bop, skeetaloop, doodle-dop. I'm scatting on you guys. Doop. And skaboop. Then you have this game, right? Dolphins win, number 1 seed, clinched, done deal. We get a bye, then we move on. We lose this game, we still have the East. We win this Sunday, the Dolphins clinch the East, regardless of what happens in Buffalo or at home versus Buffalo. But we win this game. They drop to the 7 seed in my scenario. And I think if the Bengals, there's like a situation that I put together that Buffalo can be knocked out. Now, there's this. Flip it on its head, right? We go back here and the Ravens lose. The Dolphins lose. And the Browns beat the Jets. Watch what happens here. The Browns take the number 1 seed. The Browns would take the division. So if somehow the next 2 games, Ravens fall flat on their face and the Browns win the next 2 games and the Dolphins lose one of the next 2 games, the Browns would take the number 1 seed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we would be rooting for the Jets to lose to the Jets beat the Browns. So regardless of what happens here, like again, if the Ravens fall apart, the Dolphins would still get the number 1 seed. But I don't see them losing to the Steelers, so the Dolphins need to beat the Browns to win the division. Other things to look at that I was telling you guys about. So essentially now we're like, who should we root for? So obviously we're going to root for us to win here. You kind of want, so like you want Buffalo to lose. So we want, and look at that. Buffalo loses the next 2 games. I didn't even change anything yet. They're out. They can't go 9-8. They can't somehow fall apart and lose because then the Houston Texans will overtake them. I didn't even change anything. Buffalo needs to win at least one of the next 2 games. So if they do win this week, they'll probably get a playoff spot. Because a lot would have to happen. Let's see what would have to happen, right? So they win, and the Bengals, nothing changes. Steelers, nothing changes. And then we go the next week, say Bengals again. That's where it would hurt them. So let's go back here. I don't think the Steelers changed that. If the Bills lose, so again, they wouldn't clinch. The Bills won't clinch if they beat the Patriots because if the Bengals win the next 2 games, the Bengals will take their spot. Again, 10-7. 10-7, 10-7, 10-7. Too many 10-7s for Buffalo to overtake. Even Cincinnati would you see Cincy down here, Cleveland, Baltimore, all of this would overtake. Even Houston. Like if Houston, they couldn't because they're facing the Colts. So that's what would happen. So if Buffalo, as a Buffalo Bills fan, you're rooting for Kansas City. If Kansas City wins this game and beats the Bengals and you win, I think you guys clinch a playoff spot. It's all about the Bengals. Because then this game doesn't matter at all. But for the Miami Dolphins, we're rooting for the Jets. So, God forbid we do fumble. We'll get the number 1 seed regardless. Root for the Jets. And obviously, we're rooting for the Patriots. Because then we can knock them out. Jets, Patriots. To me, that's who I'm rooting for this week. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter. But let's see what happens if we fall flat on our faces and we lose the next 2 games. So, obviously, we would lose the division. We lose the division? Oh, because I had them losing. My apologies. Flam. We would lose the division. And in this scenario, it doesn't matter. To me, again, I'm rambling on a little bit here, but we already clinched a playoff spot. We're going to the playoffs. It doesn't matter the seeding. We would want Cleveland to lose this game. And that would put us in the 5th seed. And you're good. So we're competing against Cleveland. So essentially for the next 2 weeks, root for Cleveland to lose if you want a high 5th seed. And then you'd be facing the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. But this is a hard road to the Super Bowl. You're on the road every game of the year. So we got to win. So overall, one last time, we want the Browns to lose the next 2 games, and we want the Bills to lose the next 2 games. Because then we would clinch. So if we lose to the Ravens, but the Bills still lose to the Patriots, we clinch a playoff spot. It doesn't matter. This happens, we clinch a playoff spot, but we get the number 2 seed. See? We beat the Ravens, we get the number 2 seed. Even here. So all we got to do is beat the Ravens, and the worst case scenario is we get the number 2 seed. That's it. So rooting for this week, Jets to win, Bills to lose. Because regardless, if the Jets win, that just helps us with insurance policy. But if the Bills lose, we clinch. If they're down like 40-0 in the fourth quarter, it doesn't matter what happens to the Ravens game anymore because we've clinched. We are the AFC East champions. But if we beat the Ravens, then regardless of what happens for the week 18, we have the number 2 seed locked up. And you know, unless we're facing the Ravens in the AFC Championship, we will have home field advantage. So again, just for this week, let's go Jets. Let's go Patriots. Most importantly, let's go Dolphins. I have a special video plan for tomorrow, just kind of talking about like the craziness of where we're at as Dolphin fans right now. You know, talking about the number 1 seed, all that stuff, how things have changed and kind of what we need out of the team and Tua going forward. But other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. It ends up.